Off air. All right. All right. Well, it says we're live. So, welcome to the Dynasty pregame. Um, my name is Chris Svoboda. This is Adam Wilde. That's right. Wilde, right?
That's right.
All right. Just making sure. I always forget. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing awesome, man. This draft is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of things, but it is fun. We're having a good time in the old Rotten Tomatoes League. Cinema based, obviously. We got divisions for horror and comedy. And which one are you in?
I'm horror. I took horror because it was very evident that everybody wanted comedy.
Yeah, which sucks because I got the freaking last pick. And who randomized those orders?
Random generator website.
Right. Who ran the random generator website? That was you.
That was me.
Ended up last pick. You knew I wanted comedy, man. And I think two people picked horror, like actually picked horror, and the rest were stuck with it or something like that.
Yeah. Well, three, Mike and Chris picked horror on purpose, and then the rest were stuck with it. Yeah. That's why I put Chris LOL at the end because I thought it was hilarious that you were not going to get to pick.
Well, yeah, because obviously you knew I was going to get stuck with horror because 6 people weren't going to pick horror. Like, it's just not going to happen. And people don't know, but I've seen maybe one horror movie in my entire life. Like,
yeah, tell them your team name.
My team name is It because I saw that movie once. When I was 8 years old, I saw that movie. That was so I got stuck with horror, and then we did the random generator for the draft slots because we got to pick our draft slots. And where did I end up in that?
No, you kept the same order.
Same order. Oh, okay.
It was random the first time, so it was still random. But what pick did I tell you? You had Chris end up with the 104, and you got the 104.
Yep. You ended up being right for once in your life.
Undesirable. 104 just seemed so undesirable. I was like, I don't want the 104.
I don't want anything after 102 or like before 109 ish.
Well, let me ask you: would you have been happy if you got 101? Because the guy was, you would have.
Yeah.
Hate 101. I would have been trying to trade, but the guy, when I was emailing him, he was going to take the 104, and then he goes, you know what, screw it, and took the 101. I was like, I'd rather the 104 than that.
Nah, I mean, I'm fine. I got Odell either way. That's who I was going to take. But,
that's a good point.
I would have tried to trade down, but obviously to no avail. No, we all had to take our slots, so nobody was going to trade with me. But if it came down to getting Odell and not getting Odell, I would have rather had Odell. But it just ended up working out that way either way.
Still got it at 4, and now you get to draft higher throughout the draft, so that's good.
Yep, it ended up working out. So why don't we talk about this format we're in?
Yep, I got it right now. It's super flex. It's going to be 12-team and total of 10 starters. You can start, obviously, 1 to 2 quarterbacks, 2 to 5 running backs. Interesting, you have to start 3 wide receivers, must start. So it's not one of those 1 through 7 leagues. Must start 3 wide receivers, and then can start 1 to 4 tight ends. You want to go through your roster first before we start going through the actual draft?
Like what I have so far?
Yeah, just straight up what your roster is right now.
Sure. So I have picked 6 players, and I think we're only still in the 5th round. So I think I've traded up once. I have 6 players. I have Mitch Trubisky and Jameis Winston. I have Odell, AJ Green, Julio, and Juju.
Nice. And I've got...
Nope.
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Russ, Freeman, who I traded for, Hunt, Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson, Zach Ertz, and Travis Kelce is my 6 right now. We're actually mid-6. I think 6:07's on the clock.
6:07, yeah. So we're almost done with the 6. I forgot I didn't have a 6th round pick. I traded up. That's right.
With me.
Yeah, that's right. We'll talk about that, right? So like you said, mandatory start 3 wide receivers, which is kind of what I looked when I first joined the league, I went right to the lineup, even before the scoring, because that's what I like to do. I need to see who I have to start on a weekly basis, because a lot of leagues nowadays, they'll have minimum positional starters, like one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end, and then a whole mess of flexes, which gives a lot of people positional flexibility based on the scoring. And this one, you got the mandatory 2 running backs, you got the mandatory 3 wide receivers, which I looked at that. First thing I said is I'm probably taking 3 wide receivers in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
So that's how I came into it anyway. Do you have any little strategy when you first saw it?
Sorry, I'm just pulling up the draft. Yeah, so when I first saw it, I just knew that if I'm going to be in Superflex, usually I'm going to try to get quarterback covered early, and that's like the complete opposite from 1 QB for me. You got to torture me to get me to take a quarterback in 1 QB. But in 2 QB or Superflex, I really don't want to be caught with my pants down at quarterback. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to take one super early either, because there's really not a huge difference between Rodgers, Wentz, and Russ for me either. And I like Cam coming up after them. So usually I'm trading out of my first round pick. I like to get a late first, and then I'm probably going to trade out of that and get a couple seconds, which I executed in this draft.
Yeah, and in Superflex, I'm usually with you. I'm always watching the quarterback board, always seeing who's on the board versus the other positional players. But I just go into leagues this year, especially, totally fine with just a few of those mid-tier guys. It's so deep. It's so deep. You talk about late round QB and redraft all the time, but I think you can do it in Dynasty, especially when you're doing startups this year. I mean, we'll get to each pick, but we're through 6 rounds, like you said, and I have 2 good young quarterbacks.
Right.
So I'm happy with that. I did not think I was going to get the guys I did where I did. I figured they would be long gone. So I'm very happy with that. And as far as scoring in this league goes, it's pretty basic PPR. No premiums, no nothing like that. The only funky scoring, no points per carry. The only funky scoring is there -4 for interceptions, right?
I thought it was -2, but I can pull that up again. I haven't scanned it since we started the league.
Well, it's always good to be for sure before we say anything. Yeah, it is -4 for interceptions.
Okay, cool.
And -2 for fumbles, which is pretty standard. So a little in 6 points per touchdown. So it's a little bit, I won't say QB premium because that's not the right word, but it may differentiate some of the guys like Bortles and Eli from some of the middle guys more so than it normally would. So
people
maybe it
might have a little bit of touchdown volume that are also prone to picks, might not be quite as valuable for sure.
Yeah, and the more efficient QBs, maybe just by not throwing interceptions, score a little bit better than the other guys, like Goff, who may not light the world on fire with 35 to 40 touchdowns, but may not throw but 10 to 15 interceptions. So might be somebody to look at. So why don't we go round by round here?
Sure. Let's hit it.
Start it off. I'll do the first round, and we'll go back and forth, and we'll just pick out things that we find interesting. Starting off, 101 Gurley, 102 Hopkins, 103 David Johnson, 104 Odell was me. Number 105 was Antonio Brown. Number 6, Ezekiel Elliott. Number 7, Saquon Barkley. Number 8, Mike Evans. Number 9, Alvin Kamara. Number 10, Michael Thomas. 111, Carson Wentz. And 112, Aaron Rodgers. So, when you look at the first round, what's the first thing you see?
Probably Todd Gurley first. I don't think you can get me to take a running back in the first 4 picks, even though it is Todd Gurley. Due for a huge amount of regression, but he's still Todd Gurley. Great running back, still my running back 1, but I would rather have DeAndre Hopkins first overall. I would take OBJ second. Third, I would be teeter-tottering with Antonio Brown and Gurley, probably ultimately going Brown. Maybe Gurley. I would maybe flip a coin there, but I wouldn't take him first. Don't fault anyone either. If you really want that running back position and you're going to win it now, then sure, Gurley is a fine pick there.
It's just, like you said, it's too early for me. I don't like to build my team around running backs. That's like a recipe for disaster. One falter, one misstep by Gurley, hitting the hole, and then you're toast. Your whole team's toast.
Whole team, yep.
I mean, you could say that for a lot of players, but the running backs especially. I'd much rather take 3 or 4 receivers over Gurley, and probably, I don't know, maybe Michael Thomas, maybe Keenan Allen. But I don't want to build my team around the running backs. If it comes to the 105 and Gurley's sitting there and I'm on the board, I want to move down so hard. I will take any sort of compensation to move down, basically, just because I don't want that. For me, in the first round, the one that stuck out to me was Mike Evans at 108 in a super flex.
Yeah.
His value is taking a pretty nice hit here recently, where he's fallen out of the first round of 1 QB mocks. And here he's sitting at 108 in a super flex mock, which is, obviously with the quarterbacks involved, is a little bit even crazier. What do you think about Mike Evans at 108?
Well, let's also point out this is going to go into play a little later when we talk about me and Pete Law's trade, but there has been no quarterback off the board yet. And you're going to notice in Superflex leagues, the QB run is going to come, but you just don't know when. People are going to wait and wait and wait. But once that first one comes off, they're all coming off. So you just don't know when. So we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the trade. I wouldn't take Mike Evans before a quarterback. I wouldn't take him before Michael Thomas. I wouldn't take him before Alvin Kamara, even being a running back. So if he went, say, let's give him 202, maybe I'd be on board. I mean, he's put up some pretty historic numbers in his first 3 years, but just not before Michael Thomas for me, for sure, at the receiver position. Still maybe before Keenan, which kind of hurts to say because I love Keenan, but they would be kind of neck and neck.
Yeah. No, I would just say that, like you said, before any quarterback came off the board. And I assume it was probably his highest rated receiver or highest ranked receiver. And he saw the start 3 as well. And maybe he just wanted to lock up that wide receiver 1.
Agreed.
And then toward the end of the round, like I said, Carson Wentz, Aaron Rodgers, first QBs off the board. And then why don't you hit round 2, and then we'll see how that started the run.
Yeah, yep. So you started the run at 111, Rodgers at 111, 112. Then you got Watson at 201, Garoppolo 202. Yes, I said Jimmy Garoppolo. Russell Wilson at 203, Dalvin Cook, Lev Bell, Cam Newton at 206, Kirk Cousins 207, Keenan Allen 208, Devonta Adams 209. That's my pick. Melvin Gordon at 210. Kareem Hunt 211, my other pick, and Leonard Fournette at 212. I'll go ahead first and discuss 2 of those picks and give my opinion first. So I traded the 110 and the 1003, and in return I got the 211 and the 302. I'm just thinking it's Michael Thomas there. Michael Thomas, but I also really like Keenan and Devonta Adams. And I knew I would get one of Keenan or Devonta Adams at 211 because I'm expecting the QB run hit. Now, left had a conversation beforehand, and we're like, man, this is crazy. No quarterbacks have gone off the board yet. We're both on board with the fact that the run's going to come soon. But Pete was willing to bet that it wasn't going to come yet. Now, that matters because if the QB run doesn't come for a while, that means skilled players are still coming off the board. If skilled players are still coming off the board in the early to mid-second, that takes a lot of value away from my 211. Now, if the quarterbacks start coming off the board in the second round and I'm sitting there at 211, then that means I got bumped skill position players that could have been there at the second. So my thought process was it has to be coming soon. Pete's thought process was that it might be coming soon, but he was willing to bet that it didn't. If quarterbacks waited to come off the board just a little bit longer, he would have got great value there. So I ended up getting Kareem Hunt at the 211. And then with that 302, I traded up with yourself, Chris. I traded the 302 and the 510, and I got the 209 and the 609. So I came out of the second round with Russell Wilson, Kareem Hunt, and Davante Adams. With your 302, which we'll get to in a minute, since we're on the top of the trade, you got Julio. So we'll get to that in just a second. I think what pops out, though, the most is probably the Jimmy Garoppolo over Russell Wilson. I can't really defend that one, really. But besides that, Le'Veon Bell fell all the way to 205. I mean, I advocated for him in the early second in Superflex startups, and I got a lot of flack for it. But then I also got a lot of people agreeing. But I was thinking maybe 201, 202. So him falling to 205, that is not what I advocated for.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's the QB run. And runs in Superflex leagues, drafts, they're the most prevalent thing you have to worry about. Because once, like you said, once one comes off, people don't want to miss out. They'll see two top QBs go off the board, and they're like, oh, I don't want to miss that tier. So they'll take one. And that brings guys like Le'Veon Bell down to 205. It should be noted that Dalvin Cook went one pick ahead of him.
True.
And that was Matt Williamson,
Yep.
who is a known Dalvin Cook supporter and has said on numerous occasions on the Dynasty Blueprint that he would take Dalvin Cook over Le'Veon Bell. And here we are taking Dalvin Cook over Le'Veon Bell.
Nice.
So, I mean, Bell as running back 7 on paper is eye-opening just based on what we've seen from him and what we expect him to do even this year. But that future, especially in Pittsburgh, is just extremely murky. I don't know where he's going to play next year. I'm not sure it's Pittsburgh. I don't think it is, actually. And then you got to deal with changing teams, an aging running back, a new offense. Could be a bad offense. You never know. Just a lot of question marks there. As far as me in the second round, just looking at some of this value because of the quarterbacks. Keenan Allen at 208.
Mm-hmm.
Adams 209. When I was on the clock at 209, I was in between 2 or 3 guys, and I just could not choose. So I did anything I could to get out of that spot. And Adams was one of the choices, so it felt good that you took him there. Hunt at 211. Hunt's one of those guys that sneaks into the first round of one QB a lot. So to see him at the end of the second is just it's eye-opening in these Superflex leagues, the players that fall. But other than that, the QB runs, let's see, how many quarterbacks we're taking in the second? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out, or 6. No, 5. 5 out of 12 picks were quarterbacks. I guess it could have been more. But, yeah, that's about it for that round.
Now, hold on. You can see Melvin Gordon. We forgot to mention how different my draft would have gone. It looks very, very good that I got Russell Wilson, Davante Adams, and Kareem Hunt. But had Melvin Gordon not gone earlier than he should have, in my opinion,
right.
I would not have been taking a running back there. I'm not high enough on Fournette to take him at 211. It would have either been wide receiver. I'd probably have been looking at taking Julio, or I probably would have taken my second quarterback there, honestly.
Well, I'll just put you on the spot here since we're talking about it. Obviously, Melvin Gordon wouldn't have been taken there. Let's just say they took Kareem Hunt, just so you didn't even have the choice. You got Julio on the board and Stafford on the board, which was, I think, the best quarterback. Who were you taking there?
I'm going to take Julio. I love me some Stafford, but there's some other guys later that I love almost as much as Stafford that are just old, so nobody's going to want them.
Sure.
And Julio's just an animal. I don't think he's close to stopping, and I don't think he'll ever have such an inefficient season again in the red zone.
I hope you're right.
So let's just say that got out of the way, and he gets even 4 to 5 touchdowns with his typical, 1,200, 1,400 yards.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be happy with that at 211. So that puts my start at Russell Wilson, Devontae Adams, and Julio Jones. Still not mad at it, especially with the running back trade that I made late. All right, let's hit that third round.
Yep, sounds good. You just cut out for a minute. I'm sorry. 301, Patrick Mahomes. 302, which was me, is Julio Jones. And this was all done on the overnight. That pick was made at like 10:15. I'm long in bed by then, so it was pre-drafted. And then I had the next pick, 303, was Matthew Stafford, which when I woke up, I was so mad.
Yep, I agree.
Because he was number 2 on this pre-draft list, and all I had to do was make it one pick where they did not take Matthew Stafford, and I would have been just overjoyed to get Julio and Matthew Stafford. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, because at 304, my next guy on the list was A.J. Green, which I am fine with.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I think he's going to have a nice little bounce back, monster year. But I just wish I could have got Stafford there. But in any event, 305, Marcus Mariota. 306, Amari Cooper. 307, Rob Gronkowski. 308, Christian McCaffrey. 309, Andrew Luck. 310, Allen Robinson. 311, first tight end, and Evan Ingram. And 312 is Jared Goff.
That was the second tight end. Gronk actually went at 307.
Oh, good call. I did say Gronk. I just didn't put 2 and 2 together. All right. So the third round. Mahomes, I guess. I think he ended up being like QB 8, which isn't awful, but it's still notable that I think he went over guys like Stafford and Mariota. Even Andrew Luck, while obviously injured, and even maybe Jared Goff. These guys have all played in the league and all put up numbers, and Patrick Mahomes hasn't. So it's a lot of risk, a lot of high upside, because Patrick Mahomes was my QB1 in 2017. I love Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
But you haven't seen it yet, so just to take him over some of these guys is a little eye-opening just for his value.
Perhaps a little cute, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he must have been in a startup, high upside. Why not? That's probably what he was thinking.
Has to be, and the age, I'm sure, had to have factored if you're trying to keep your quarterback for so many years. But I mean, if you want to talk about luck there for a second,
Yep.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You start.
I was just about to say I was going to point out Andrew Luck, QB 11, if I can count correctly.
Okay.
What do you think about QB 11?
I'm going to tell you right now, with every tweet that says no pain in quotation marks, that is climbing and climbing and climbing. So if you've talked to me about Dynasty before, I've probably talked about not buying a player at a ceiling. So I go by tiers, and if I have a tier of players and, 2 of them have reached their ceiling, which means they're really, really good, but they're probably not going to get much better, then I might take some of those upside guys that are going to get a higher ceiling. Andrew Luck is nowhere his ceiling at QB 11. I mean, not even close to his ceiling. He could climb back into the top 5 pretty easily, especially when you're talking about Jimmy GQ being in the top 5 now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all right, give Luck his spot back now. He's throwing with no pain. You know what I mean? It's
1 year.
Easy to forget.
Top 5.
I agree. And trust me, I know it's super easy to forget. I've had to go back and watch so much Luck film just to remember how good he was. But we're talking about a conversation between Aaron Rodgers and Andrew Luck when he's healthy. So it's tough. I mean, I've taken a lot of Andrew Luck when he was at QB 7 or 8 and thought it was value. So 11, all day, man.
Well, and we can cover this later, but Matt Williamson once again took Andrew Luck and then traded him away later, which is funny. We can talk about that a little bit later. Anything else in this third round stick out to you? A lot more quarterbacks. I think we got through the top 12. I think we got 12 taken by the end of the third.
Just Gronk. If you're in a league with me, I probably have Gronk. Probably I would say 7 of my 12 have Gronk in him because he's been such great value. I don't know that that's good value, though. I mean, I took Allen Robinson at 310. I would have taken Allen Robinson probably at 3.7. I would have taken Christian McCaffrey over Gronk. I would have took Luck over Gronk. Would not have taken Evan Ingram over Gronk. Diggs and Goff would have been close. Hill would have been close, and that's getting into the fourth. So, yeah, I love me from Gronk too, but we would have to see. We'll have to see, how long he plays. I'm buying into him playing quite a bit longer, and thinking that the retirement was just a contractual thing. But that doesn't mean I'm right. So that's a little early for me to take that risk.
Right. I don't know if it's so. I'm not sure if I buy it's like a contractual thing. I think he's thinking about it and maybe on the tail end of his career, but you can't just ignore the kind of production he's going to put up.
True.
If he's on the field, he's going to score points. And yes, the middle of the third in a super flex is probably about the ceiling. That's probably about the tops you ever want to take him. Because I think he's going in the third in 1 QB ADP right now. So with all the QBs taken, like we said, the guys taken after him, I would definitely take Christian McCaffrey over him. Definitely take Allen Robinson. I definitely take Diggs, and I definitely take Tyreek. But I like Tyreek. But I'd take all those guys over Gronk, and it's not really that close, especially just because it's a tight end in a normal PPR league too.
Yeah.
I want to shore up those receivers first. But, okay, start of the fourth. 401, like we said, Stephon Diggs. 402, Tyreek Hill. 403, Travis Kelce, which was you. 404 was Matt Ryan. 405, Brandon Cooks. 406, Joe Mixon. 407, Adam Thielen. 408, Corey Davis. 409, Juju, which was me. 410, Darius Geis. 411, Rashad Penny. 412, Sony Michel. So we had a little run on rookies, and it'll go into the fifth when we get there. Starting on the fourth, the only thing that really jumped out at me, it looks pretty standard once the top QBs go, as far as normal Dynasty ADP and such, Diggs, Hill, Kelce sliding in there, even Cooks, who I don't like, Mixon, who I don't like, but that's their normal spot.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan coming in at QB 13, once again, if I can count correctly.
Yeah.
Is that high for Matt Ryan?
No, that's probably pretty low for him, which is kind of bad for me to say because I took Travis Kelce 1 pick before him, but I would do that again still because of the positional value. Already had my quarterback, and Travis Kelce is my tight end 1 by a pretty wide margin. So getting that, I mean, we've had the discussion in trade talks, and I've told you it's just so nice to have that tight end 1 in my opinion, because I get really stressed about my starting lineups, and it's just so much less stress on me to be able to have the tight end that I don't have to think about instead of picking between like Charles Clay or Tyler Eifert this year. I mean, yeah, if you're going to go late in the leagues that don't have a tight end, which is very few, sure, I'll be hitting up Charles Clay and trying to get Delaney Walker on the cheap if I can, but I would prefer not to, which is why I took Travis Kelce there. That's going to seem pretty interesting as we get down the line and see a trade that I made, but I was super happy to have Kelce there, but I would be very happy if I was at 404 and got Matt Ryan too. So
you're fine with Matt Ryan as the 13th overall QB? Just
you should probably be a little earlier, to be honest with you.
Over Goff, who is 12?
Probably over Goff, I would say. Let's actually go look. Probably over Goff. I think Andrew Luck should have went a little bit earlier. I think the argument gets to be maybe it's around right because you'd want to take probably Mariota over him, but I think he's definitely undervalued for sure.
I think that's probably right where he should be, because there's the young guys that go above him. Mariota, who I'm super high on. Luck, obviously, who's a top 5. If he plays 8 games in a row, he's top 5 dynasty quarterback again. And then the older guys, Cousins and Stafford, I'd much rather have Stafford. and I think I'd rather have Cousins. So it's probably right about where he should be. You could flip a coin, Jared Goff, Matt Ryan, and I wouldn't be mad at you.
I got you.
If you're a startup, fine, take the age, whatever. But I think that's about right where he should be. What about these rookies here at the end? I just wanted to point this out. Guys, Penny, Michelle, and then even into the second round, or fifth round, sorry, we'll take a sneak peek. Ronald Jones, Nick Chubb. If that were a rookie draft, is that you think that's pretty standard?
Yeah, it actually went pretty much in order, I would say.
For your ranks?
I will say that I was considering Geis at 403, to be honest with you, but I'm noticeably higher on him. I wouldn't say much because I'm a Redskins fan. Honestly, outside of saying I'm a Redskins fan, I pretty much hate them. So it's not much fandom. It's just that
Snyder, eat shit.
Yeah, I hate that. He's just amazing. I mean, I think he's considerably better than any of the other running backs behind him. But hey, I've still got shares of the other guys for them to go in the same order. It's cool that happened because I thought that was going to happen, and I was like, man, if I take Geis here, all these running backs are going to come off. The problem in these startups with these rookies that nobody knows when to take rookies. Nobody's comfortable with it. But once one person does it, it's like, okay, that's fine. Now I can do it.
It's like quarterback runs. It really is. We saw 5 in a row after Geis was taken.
Exactly, because people were just like scoping out those running backs, waiting to see if it's okay. Now, here's the thing, though. This is a sneak preview, too, and I'm not going to ruin it too much because we have a long way to go before we get to them. But, I mean, I was considering Kelsey, Devonta Freeman, and Geis, and I didn't even feel like I was high on Devonta Freeman. Now, we saw half of the first round of a rookie draft go before Devonta Freeman. Like, if you have Devonta Freeman, are you taking the 108 for him?
Oh, absolutely not.
No, I wouldn't either, but that's what we got.
I'm a Devonta Freeman like fanboy, almost. Right. I would say.
Sure.
The only rookies I would take over Devonta Freeman is Barkley. Obviously, we just saw him out. Rashad Penny and maybe Darius Geis. Maybe. It kind of hurts to say that, honestly. Devonta Freeman has performed at that running back 1 level, even top 8, maybe even top 5 with Tevin Coleman playing.
Yep.
The guy's good, plain and simple.
RB1 overall without him too, and he's about to lose Tevin Coleman.
If he stays healthy, Devonta Freeman, go get him now, especially if that's where his market is.
Yep.
Last thing in the 4th round, I just want to touch my pick, Juju. That was my 4th receiver taken. 4 rounds, 4 wide receivers.
Yep.
Even in this super flex, I saw start 3 wide receivers, and I blacked out. I went nuts. I did consider quarterback in the 3rd, like I said, where I wanted Stafford, but it just never felt like the right time. But the next round, when we get to it, I finally burst the seal on that one. Is it your turn?
Yep, I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
We're in 5th round. 501, we got Ronald Jones. Told you about that. Told you about Nick Chubb at 502. 503, my boy T.Y. 504, Jameis Winston. That's you. 505, Devonta Freeman. Not my Devonta Freeman yet. 506, Jordan Howard. 507, Derek Carr. 508, Jerick McKinnon. 509, Doug Baldwin. 510, Mitch Trubisky. That's you, but traded from me. 511, Sam Darnold. Let's go ahead and notice that Sam Darnold's first quarterback off the board. Right after that is Lamar Jackson. Sorry, first rookie quarterback off the board. Tariq Cohen. I'm getting into the 6, but Tariq Cohen is at 602. So let's back up into the 5th. What are you looking at in the 5th right here? I think you already know.
As it was going, I was noticing those rookies over some of these other guys, and we already talked about that.
Yep.
But, at 504, I was just looking. I was like, all right, I got 4 wide receivers. I feel like I at least have the core there. And I was going through the quarterbacks, and I'm like, wait a minute. Jameis Winston's still on the board. And I'm just thinking, like, this feels like a value for Jameis Winston. And I was talking to my buddy TJ Calkins about my previous round's choices. And he said, boy, Jameis Winston there? That looks like a value. And I was like, you know what? It is. I'll bet he falls to the next round, and I didn't take him. And here he is sitting at 504, and I almost want to say, like, if I didn't take him there, he may have fallen to my next pick at 510.
He might have.
But I didn't want to chance it. I do not like Jameis Winston as a player, certainly probably not as a person. But I think he's locked in as the starter for Tampa Bay when he's on the field, and he has tons of weapons, all the weapons in the world. He was one of my favorite buys in Dynasty and late round redraft picks, just as pure volume passer, because I don't like Ronald Jones, and I don't think their running game is going to be very good. And I expect him to throw a lot of touchdowns, quite frankly, just a crap ton of touchdowns.
Got Brate back.
Yep, he loves himself some Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard, Mike Evans, Deshaun Jackson, Chris Godwin, even Adam Humphries. I mean, the list goes on of just weapons. So I was very happy to take Winston here at 504, regardless of the 3-game suspension. Just, Jameis, I'm looking at you right now in the eye, face to face. I know you're watching. Don't do anything stupid. Come on, man. Let's act like a human being, please. Anyway.
Nobody loves him as much as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers love him either. So,
oh yeah, taking him over Marcus Mariota, that's a whole nother thing.
And still, they're obsessed with him. I mean, if you go back and watch the Hard Knocks and see how they talk about this man,
oh yeah,
he's not going anywhere.
PR, man, he's the franchise. They were going to talk him up regardless.
Sure, but I mean, did you really have to say he's the best leader that you've ever been around in your life? I'm probably dramatic. I get it, but
dramatic, yeah.
I'm just saying you don't often. I mean, he hasn't done much for them to like him so much.
Yeah, he's basically Eli to me as a passer and as a player. But hey, even Eli puts up fantasy points, or at least used to. So the other thing I wanted to point out, I forget who it actually is. High quality H2O was on the clock, and I was trying to trade hard because I wanted Jerick McKinnon. Hi, I'm Chris Svoboda, and I wanted Jerick McKinnon very badly. I wanted him in the fourth. You guys know I was coin flipping between Juju and McKinnon because I have a problem. I love Jerick McKinnon.
At least you can admit it. That's the first step.
And if he would have fallen to 510, I think I would have snapped pick Jerick McKinnon so fast I wouldn't. But I'm kind of glad he went. He's gone, so I can take the glasses off and just realize, wow, kind of glad somebody else took Jerick McKinnon so I didn't have to. I love Jerick McKinnon, but he's more of a trade buy than a startup buy because the ADP is just a little bit rich for where I would take him. He actually fell pretty far in this draft, I think, compared to some other guys. I'd rather have him over Jordan Howard, but in general, I'm sorry, I wanted Jerick McKinnon so bad. And then just at 5'10", I took the Mitch Trubisky. I was surprised he fell that far, and I was happy to get 2 QBs in this round, young starters. But I'll let you go. I've talked forever. Talk about Sam Darnold and these rookies.
Sure, that's too early for the rookie QBs for me. You're still looking at the guys that we're going to talk about in the 6 is nuts, and then also a quarterback in the 6 that I would take over these rookies as well. Still, I think maybe not quite, but it would be close. That would be a tough one for me. I don't really hate you too much for taking Jerick McKinnon there. I think people would want to go a lot earlier on him. I certainly wouldn't have, but everybody knows that. I'll stop beating that dead horse. Devonta Freeman, when he got into the 5th round, I was really trying to trade into the 5th round hard. But I had already executed, I think, 3 trades by then that were 2 trade downs and a trade up. And I knew that I was going to overpay. So I developed a strategy. I was just going to wait for somebody to pick them and then go after them, because if they let them fall this far, they obviously didn't value him too much anyways. So I just laid back, and as soon as he got picked, I just started my trade discussion with that owner, because I know that if they got him at 505 in a startup, they don't value him as a high-end running back 1 like I do. I mean, they're valuing him maybe as a RB1. You got him taken 3 picks before Jerick McKinnon. That's absolutely absurd in my mind. So I went and traded for him. We'll talk about that at the end because that trade had nothing to do with the draft for the most part, mostly non-draft picks. And then you have Sam Darnold going over Lamar Jackson. No Baker yet. Yeah, I'm going to take Lamar Jackson over Sam Darnold by far, but I'm not going to take him over the next player picked or the next few players picked, really, except for one. That's my take on it. Is just Jerick McKinnon almost okay for me. Devontae Freeman way too low. And as far as Jameis goes, this is a really bad time of the year to listen to the news, to be honest with you. There's a few months out of the year that it's just really good to kind of step back from real football. Step back from real football a little bit because there's going to be a lot of discussion, like right now, discussing Jameis's future with the Bucs. He is not going anywhere. He's not. I mean, this was 2 years ago, and he's going to have the argument till he's blue in the face that he's not like that anymore, blah, blah, blah. Even if he is or he isn't, he's not going to go anywhere. He's still going to be the franchise #1 overall. He's flashed enough, so that was a great value for him. If I were looking QB, I would have done the same. Yep. Go ahead for the 6. We got half of it.
Yeah. First of all, like, we're not condoning Jameis Winston. The dude's a knucklehead. But
absolutely.
I mean, we're drawing the line here. Obviously, this is fantasy. Jameis Winston, you're a knucklehead. Stop doing dumb stuff. And then just on the rookies, I think once Sam Darnold came off the board, Michael Salvino, he wanted Sam Darnold, and then Matt Williamson, Lamar Jackson, truth or #1. Just
true. Yep.
As soon as he saw one, he wanted it because I had a trade with Matt, all but signed, and then he saw Sam Darnold go off, and he's like, "I got to get Lamar here." Yep. So that's all that was. But 601, Jarvis Landry, 602, Tariq Cohen, 603, Dak Prescott, 604, Sammy Watkins, 605, Josh Gordon, and then 606 was you, Zach Ertz, and that's where we're at for now. I'll refresh the page just to make sure, but. Yep, that's still where we're at. Obviously, the eyesore, if you will, in this round is Tariq Cohen at 602.
Sucks. I love him.
Guys like Dak, who's a quarterback in a super flex. Sammy Watkins, who I do not like, so I really don't care. Josh Gordon and Zach Ertz. No thanks on Tariq Cohen there. I'd rather have just about every one of these guys. Zach Ertz at 606. Talk about it.
Well, let's talk about that. I was at 603 first and skipped on Dak. All right, so here's the deal. I moved the 603, 19 first, 603, 2803 overall in this draft. So whatever, the second to last pick.
Sure.
And then for Freeman in the 705. So essentially I moved back from 603 to 705. Gave a 19 first and 2803 for Freeman. That was just, I mean, it made it a good deal for him because Dak was there. I don't want to take Dak there just because I'm personally okay with the older QBs as long as I have a premium one. Now, if I didn't have a premium one, totally different story. I'll take Dak. Since I already have Russ, though, I'm okay with the rest being older, about to get out of elite QBs. I can replace one QB. I can't replace 2 QBs in super. It's not easily, at least. It's going to cost you a pretty penny to replace 2 of them. So didn't need Dak there, but I'm like, oh man, if this were 1 pick later, this would look a lot different for him. so not that bad with him getting Dak there. So that leaves me in the 705 range. Sorry, I had a 703 as well. So I ended up trading up for the 606. Now, I already have Kelsey, but Zach Ertz was just the name that was staring me in the face, his value there. Only 2 people in that area that were considerable were Jeffrey and Ertz. So if I have to pick a player from the Eagles, I'm just going to take Ertz, even though I already have Kelsey, because now I'm immediately shopping Kelsey. So I joked that it was kind of the Carlos Hyde situation. I brought in the premium player, and then I waited to see if I was going to get a guy later. And then now I can just get rid of the premium player like they're going to do with Hyde later. So I'm going to look in the same range as Kelsey now, and I'm not going to ask for a whole lot, to be honest with you. If if I can get somebody that I would have taken there, sure, no problem. And now I still have a premium tight end that I love. So, I mean, I could have taken Jeffrey there, but what about, let's just say for reference, if I traded you Kelsey for Juju, because they're in the same range. Now I'm looking at Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson, Juju, and Ertz instead of Devontae Adams, Allen Robinson, Jeffrey, and Kelsey. So to me, you're getting some age with Ertz, and then you're still got your tight end 3 as opposed to your tight end 1. I would rather have Juju by a good bit than Jeffrey. So that's where I was at there.
Oh, yeah. It makes total sense. It just comes back to taking the best player available. There's always times to make trades. Even if you can't move Kelsey right now or Ertz right now, who's to say you can't do it in September when somebody wants to fill their lineup?
Or just start them both, you know?
Yeah, nothing wrong with starting Kelsey and Ertz. Ertz is the number 1 target in Philadelphia, and Alshon may be the 3rd. Because I hate Alshon.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I wouldn't have considered Alshon there at all. But I couldn't believe Ertz stayed on the board. I was considering him where I took Winston and Trubisky, but I just went with the positional value at that point. I'm okay streaming tight ends, and who knows, maybe I'll knock down your door later on.
Right.
Those guys, but that's where we're waiting in the draft so far.
Now let's say that Ertz was gone where he should have been, and I'm just going to list the next guys that were behind Ertz to give you kind of an idea what taking best player available looks like, even though I already had Travis Kelce on my roster. My tight end 1, perfectly fine, shouldn't have had to touch a tight end for another 6 rounds. We're looking at LaShawn McCoy. Love the guy. Just he's ready to hit that career arc. If the offense were good, I would say screw his age, but it's not very bad. Yeah. Derrick Henry, I don't like him. He's not going to get nearly the volume the truthers think he is.
Hey, Corey Cameron, if you're still listening, Derrick Henry, bro.
And Kenyon Drake, we discussed him. Another guy that I really enjoy watching from a fan perspective. But like I said, not saying that this is how it's going to work out, but if Kalen Ballage ended up being the PPR guy and then Gore ended up stealing just a few of those goal line touches, you're talking about a very different finish.
Stop.
Just saying. Stop. I don't want to touch it. I'm just saying I don't want to touch it.
I'm relying on Drake pretty hard in Pigs 3.
Then you have Royce. I like Royce a lot too, but are you even close between Royce and Ertz?
Ertz, no. Well, the funny thing is, speaking of those very 2 players, rookie draft a couple months ago now, I was on the clock at 108, normal PPR league.
Okay.
On the clock, 108, and Royce was sitting there, and I was like, this is probably going to be Royce here. He's the best player, I think. I love Royce. I have him over Sony, and I have him probably running back 5 or 6, just off the top of my head.
He's my 5 over Rojo. I bet you that's where he is.
Oh, yeah. Over Rojo for sure. So RB5, let's say. And I was going to take him there, and then somebody came up to me to rebuild his team and offered me Zach Ertz straight up for the 108. And I was like, had to think about it. I really did, because I was like, this should be Ertz, right? I asked a couple guys because I was trying to figure out if I was nuts about this, because I was like, this has got to be Ertz, right? And they're like, yes, it's probably Ertz, but you have the leverage here in the rookie draft. So I was able to get Ertz and the 204. I moved down 8 spots to get Zach Ertz.
Wow.
So just a relevance of those 2 players. Yes, I'd rather have Ertz, probably, especially in a startup. But, just if you're trading in rookie drafts, remember, you have the leverage.
I traded before the draft the 106 for Ertz and was pretty happy about it. It was a team that I had a ton of picks, and if you guys know me at all, I don't do rebuilding at all. I would rather just tough it out and try to enjoy my season a little.
Yeah.
Even if I have to risk some future, but I think you can trade for future later if you need to in season. If you need to jump ship. But anyways, I would much rather Ertz than the 106. And I think that was non-super flex as well. So,
yeah. It makes total sense. So, but you did say one thing there. You were talking about trading for future. One thing that somebody talked about, Michael Salfino, shouts out to him on Twitter, that everybody was trying to trade futures in this league. I'm trying to trade away my future first as we speak. You did trade away your future first. What do you think
I
about
did.
trading away future firsts?
Yeah, I'm all about it right now, especially you can kind of get a sense of what direction your team's going to go by around round 5 or 6. And I'm not naive enough to say that I'm not one tore an ACL away from being a competitor or being a bottom pick. But you can kind of look at the startup of Russ, Hunt, Freeman, Robinson, Kelsey, Ertz.
You like your team, basically.
Right. That I'm going to be top half. That's all I'm saying is that I'm going to be top half, I would say. So I'm giving away a top half pick next year, and I'm getting Freeman and moving back 8 spots. I mean, come on. And I can get a first in season for some of these guys that we're going to draft later when they exceed expectations. So if I start hitting on some upside guys right now in these coming picks, the 2 picks I have in the 7th maybe, pop them off in season, and then I'm getting firsts for far later than I traded my first for. So I'm all for it too right now. We got a long time before the 19 draft.
Yep, very true. I was just going to say it's not even about going all in or trying to win now. There's just guys on the board that are worth more than a future first right now. That's just the way it is. And breaking news, trade alert, right on the podcast. I'm actually pretty pissed about this here, trade alert. Our boy Chris Allen just traded away his pick. He was on the clock at 6:07. He traded away to 6:07 for a 19 first and the 28th round pick of this other guy. So nothing. I offered Chris Allen for this pick my 19 first, and I was going to give him round swaps in 2 or 3 other rounds to where he got the better round. Why didn't you take that pick, Chris? What's wrong with you?
Maybe he didn't want to swap the rounds.
Trade around here.
Well, what did he and then Josh Rosen got taken, right?
And then he took Josh Rosen with that pick. That wouldn't have been my pick personally, so I'm going to keep trying to trade.
Yeah, don't even say it because
my trade was just as good, if not better, than what was offered. And I don't get it, man. What is wrong with me?
He doesn't like there being 2 Chris's. I think he's hoping you fail out of the league.
Why is he mad at me? I called you Chris. I will go by Svoboda. Call me Svoboda. I don't care. Come on.
You should have done that. Oh, and by the way, I was told to mention Outhouse, and I'm going to trade him a future 4th to tell me his real name. So just so you guys know, watch out for that.
Shouts out to Dynasty Outhouse. He said we had to talk about him. What's up, dude?
That's our dude. In the league, we don't know your real name. It's kind of scary. I don't know who you might be. I know you're not an Outhouse.
Chris Allen, hey, you're on the list, brother. All right. I'm upset right now. Maybe he didn't read the trade correctly? Maybe he didn't see the 19 first because it kind of goes in at the end.
I think you're joking, but I'm also kind of serious. I got a counter offer for the trade that I made for Devonta Freeman, and when I looked at it, I was super offended because I was doing simple pick swaps for my first trade offer, and then I got the trade offer, the response, and it was a bunch of other junk, and I was super offended. And I'm like, man, why'd you send me such a trash offer? And then I looked at it, and then I was like, oh wait, he just traded me a 3rd for my last pick. Okay,
right, basically. Sometimes they sneak in. The futures go after the startup, and if you have a late startup pick, then it just kind of looks funky. But Chris,
and I think he's just used to you being the type of dude to throw a low ball offer, so he just doesn't accept them.
I'm not even in the league with Chris Allen. First of all, I'm tired of people telling me my offers are bad. Okay.
What other deal? We did a deal we did 2 in the orphan you just took up. I gave you
the Bands and Booze.
Yep. A first in Aguilar for TY.
Right.
And then 19 first. And then did one more that I can't remember. Blake Bortles for Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I took Bortles on that one. Only because QBs last longer. And I hope Bortles plays a couple years. I don't think I'm in it this year, but I'm gunning for next year. That's always the goal.
I had 5 QBs too, so both actually worked out fine for both of us. Didn't require any counter offers. It was pretty easy.
Yeah, we talked back and forth a little bit, I guess.
Right. I don't actually like sending cold offers, actually. For one, I think that I overcompensate by sending cold offers, and I usually send bad like bad offers for me. Like I usually send too much on a cold offer because I'm afraid to send a bad deal. I just like hitting people up and just asking them like, "What's up, dude? What do you want?"
It's on the person, I think. Sometimes I'll just throw out a bunch of offers, and I don't really want to get in contact with every single person I'm sending an offer to. But I just people think my offers are bad, man, and so I'll go to some guys. I'll go to TJ Calkins, good friend of mine. I'll go to Ryan and ask, is this a bad offer? And every time I've asked, they said, absolutely not. That is not a bad offer. So why do people keep saying my offers are bad, man?
Well, it's because everyone's players are more valuable than your players. I mean, that's just the way it goes. But
it's fine if you think you don't want the offer. Just say thanks, no thanks. To go out of your way and say that I'm not even considering this, like I can't take it seriously. Okay, the latest one. Listen to this.
All right.
14 team, PPR, Superflex, 0.25 points per carry. Okay, so you got the whole rundown. I don't know if any or all of that matters, but that was the rundown. I offered AJ Green, and I asked for Doug Baldwin, Naheem Hines, and a 19 first, which I couldn't. It's hard to say. I traded it as random, but the guy finished in the playoffs, I do believe. So I can assume a 19 playoff first. He said he couldn't take it seriously.
All right, so you were going to trade Green for Ducky B, Naheem Hines, and a 19 first?
Yes.
All right, so yeah, Doug Baldwin and the 19 first is probably close enough, and then Hines kind of puts the cherry on top. I'd probably be fine with it. What I would probably have asked for is like, I mean, if you were targeting Naheem Hines, you can't really take him out, so you'd have to have asked for something around early second value. But by no means would I be offended by that.
Even if you think it was a little bit in my favor, which that's fine. I didn't even get a counter, my dude. He said, here's what he told me, actually. If you work Joe Mixon into this deal, I will give it a serious look.
Hey, man, that's the who talked about Naheem Hines recently, and he's been jumping real high in value.
A couple guys did, especially with the turban thing. They're like, oh, Naheem Hines.
Turban wasn't going to do anything anyways.
I like him fine. This came down to AJ Green for Doug Baldwin in the first, which I thought was pretty close, right?
Well, that's very close.
If I'm going to trade the big guy, the big stud, I would just like that little bit extra. And Naheem Hines, mid-second round pick, I thought that was just enough of a cherry on top.
Well, it depends how long ago this was, too, because there was at one point that he was a late second, early third, and then he
maybe last week.
Okay, then yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have done Naheem Hines, but I sure would have countered with.
And I would have listened to a counter. That was the opening, like you said, cold offer.
Right.
I even if it's a little bit in my favor, I don't know how you can just be like egregiously mad at my offer.
Some people get really mad, man.
Like, why are you getting mad at even if you're not mad, like, I don't understand. Like, this
all right, let's hit the button
more than a few times. And I'm just
we gotta hit the button before we go off on this long rabbit hole of great talk.
We're already gone, man.
Oh, no, mine says live.
Oh, hold on. Hey, Spoonie, are you still in the chat? Spoonie, he says you don't know Outhouse's name. I think Spoonie knows the inside track.
The inside track?
What? He might know Outhouse's name, bro.
Well, maybe I'll give him a future third then.
Oh, Spoonie, he says he knows what it is. Spoonie,
Outhouse for a future fourth.
Right here on the Dynasty pregame. It's QB1. His name is Aaron.
Aaron, okay. Good deal. Future
I'm just
first.
guessing. He says it's QB1. Is his name Aaron? Hit me with blink twice if it's QB. Blink twice if it's Aaron.
Oh,
I can't see you. Blink twice if it's Aaron.
Someone's getting a future
no,
fourth.
The real QB1. Wait a freaking minute. What does that mean? Is his name Carson? Do you think Carson Wentz is QB1? Because we got a whole nother problem.
We might have to start another show at that point.
Come on, Spoonie. Don't leave me hanging like that. Unless it's Russ. Maybe he's a Russ truther like I am.
Oh, maybe it is Russ. I'm Russ is my one.
Come on, Spoonie, give me the team, bro.
We're playing Dynasty game night now.
Oh, he's giving me the all caps. Come on, Spoonie. Come on, man. Give me the team. Oh, he said, there you go. What is that, Russ? You guys have to know the YouTube is just a little bit behind live. So your chats are just a little bit off, probably like 5 seconds.
What is it?
Oh, I got to wait the 5-second delay. This is like TV delay style. Seattle, yeah. His name's Russ. All right.
Yeah.
Russ Outhouse. How's it going, brother?
Oh,
all right. We'll wrap it up here. It's been about an hour. Good fun today, man. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Spoonie. Shouts out to Spoonie, always in here.
Yeah.
Corey popped in for a little bit. I don't know if he's still in there. He didn't chat when I called him out about Derrick Henry. So
yeah, he had been all caps too.
But we had a few viewers, so thanks to everybody for joining us. Adam, you want to say anything, man?
No, I'm just glad you guys came in, and we'll be sharing. It sticks on YouTube, so anyone that didn't get the chance, we understand you have to turn off YouTube, which is a real pain.
Yeah, unless you got YouTube Red.
Yeah, I'm not paying for that.
Yeah, nobody's paying for that, man. I got the free trial to watch Cobra Kai, and then I canceled
it. There you go.
It was awesome.
That's how you manipulate the system.
All right, for Adam Wilde at DHH_Adam. I am Chris Svoboda at the Svoboda DHH. That is SVOBODADHH. This has been the Dynasty pregame. Peace.